What if the biggest sustainability problem is in the world right now isn't the climate change itself, but confusion? Because across the globe, millions of small businesses are hearing words like ESG, net zero, carbon reporting, sustainable finance, circular economy, and quietly thinking, where do we even begin? Many people feel sustainability was designed for larger corporations with massive budgets and consultants and reporting teams. But here's the reality. Small businesses are already doing far more greater than we think. The real problem is not the lack of action, it's the gap between what SM is already doing and what they think sustainability is supposed to look like. Today, we will be talking about the gap, why small businesses feel like left behind in sustainability, how greenwashing made this worse, and how SMEs can catch up without overwhelming fear or corporate jargon. Welcome back to the Sustainability Side. I'm your host, Dr. Sana. Before I introduce our lovely, lovely guest, you already know her. So, with a small introduction, we will continue the session.
Sing it loud, let's unite on the sustainability side. Feel the love day and night. Let's turn the tides, make a change today. Together we define our sustainable way with every step we take. We rise and glow on the sustainability side. Let the good vibes flow.
Joining us today is Karen Formosa, founder of Practical Sustainability educator, ESG practitioner, and an advocate for making sustainability accessible for small businesses. Current work focus on helping SMEs understand sustainability in practical, realistic, and human ways without unnecessary complexity. She's also a sustainability ambassador with Global Goals Connection and actively contributes to awareness and building initiatives helping businesses navigate sustainability with confidence rather than fear. Karen, I feel honorable again to welcome you to the Sustainable Side.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm absolutely delighted, Dr. Sama, to be back here and join you today. I would like you to say thank you for the kind invitation to be part of another inspiring podcast series. And what a topic to dig into. So I have to say the sustainability gap is something I'm real passionate about because I see it every day. I see the frustration, I see the overwhelm, and the sense that somehow small businesses have been handed a system that was never actually built for them. And yet, when these small businesses look at what they're already doing, the care they give, the resourcefulness they have, the relationships they are building with their suppliers and their customers, then they can see it's all there, that the substance of ability is already within their business, but they just haven't language to see it. And that is what I hope today can literally start to change.
That's an incredible topic. You always give us that. We don't want to miss anything, that kind of potential insights. We feel honored to have you back. Just in case if anybody missed the past episodes of Karen, you can watch here in the I button or in the description. We have explored the small businesses for SMEs, how they can pick up. And believe me, it's a lengthy episode. So brace yourself. You can watch that in coffee and bed far. And I feel again, as I mentioned, you are visionary indeed. Just like how your channel says, practical sustainability, and you are making it very much possible. So thank you for that. We are going to focus on sustainability gap. So Karen, when we talk about sustainability gap, what does that actually mean for small businesses today?
Yeah, so the sustainability gap is basically the distance between what the world is now expecting of businesses. And by that, I mean like the regulations, the frameworks, the reporting standards, those net zero targets, and what small businesses actually feel equipped enough to do, what they can do with the resources that they currently have. Because here's the reality. Most small businesses are already out as it is. People in these organizations are not 100% focused on sustainability because they're usually managing other departments, which are quite demanding in themselves. So small businesses still have to manage their cash flows, they still have to manage their staffing, their customers, their operations, and a multitude of other complexities, just like big corporations do. And because of this, find that departments in small businesses are very disconnected from each other. And then one fine day, the business is faced with a 60-page document that they have to complete on their sustainability actions. Without warning, I have to say, and they would have to act on them quite fast because obviously their supply chain is demanding it. Essentially, they would go, well, here you go. These regulations and standards apply to you too. You just have to act on them. And most often than not, you see these small businesses sifting through the documents and coming to the conclusion that whatever is written in them is either too complicated, too expensive, and that whatever is being asked of them doesn't apply to them. And with all that jargon, I'm not surprised that they actually feel that way. So this hence creates the sustainability gap we are talking about. And I want to make clear from the outset, the gap exists not because small businesses don't care. It exists because the system was not designed with small businesses in mind.
Pure nutrition isn't manufactured, it's passed down through generations. Welcome to Ornulum. We bring you traditional cold-pressed oils, mineral-rich jaggeries, and preservative-free regional pickles packaged with respect for tradition. Real food, authentic Nagarcoil banana chips made in pure coconut oil, free from artificial shortcuts. Wholesome sweetness, time-honored goodness. Bring the authentic taste of Tamil Nadu to your modern kitchen. Shop now at store.sashaglobalconsortium.com.
Grassroots answer because I completely agree with you. We are making policies for corporates, not for small scale business people. That's the gap. I totally
Yeah, and it's exactly that. And the moment that people understand it, I think something shifts. That helplessness, so to speak, starts to lift in them. And it is important to say that SMEs genuinely want to do the right thing, but what they are resistant to is being drowned in the complexities that they were never set up to handle. And right now, those two things are confused constantly.
That's true. So, from your experience, what are the biggest misconceptions small scale business have about ESG and sustainability?
Yeah, so I get asked this all the time, and the same things just kind of surface over and over again. Either the classic, we are too small, or this feels too big for me, or it's too out of reach, this feels too expensive. I could go on. And you know what? I don't see these as excuses because I feel that they are very, very valid concerns in their observations because the tools they've been are not them. So what I try to help people see is not the same as sustainability not being for them at all. These are two very different things. And once you can make that distinction, once we the problem is the packaging, so to speak. So the first big misconception I constantly hear, or myth, is that they're too small to participate. They are constantly comparing themselves to the big companies, and this makes them feel powerless and feeling that their small, no matter what it is not going to move in the grander scheme of things. But the evidence tells a very, very different story because small businesses are the heart of the economy. They make 90% of the businesses worldwide, and they contribute to 50% of employment. So to say that their contribution would not be worthwhile is definitely far from right. A small change, practical small step forward in one small business can ripple outward, and that ripple effect is very real. The aggregate impact of small business is enormous, and which is much more than most people imagine it to be. So there is no such thing in my eyes as being too small. When united, these changes have the strength to build a transformative wave that turns all individual actions into a force of sustainability and growth. The next most common misconception is that sustainability is too expensive for them to implement. Now, picture sustainability as this enormous investment they have to make. And we do get it because when you're managing your cash flows week to week, And anything that looks like a big investment feels out of reach. But I want to emphasize that sustainability does not start with expensive interventions. You don't need to have 20 solar panels on your roof to be considered sustainable. The most meaningful sustainability actions actually cost very little. And adding to this, I dare say, many small businesses are already doing it without realizing. So, sustainability in small businesses starts with those small practical things that will help the business run better, looking after your people, being responsible with your environmental impacts, and operating with integrity are not just corporate concepts. They are sustainability in action. Given the actions may not be as glamorous, but these simple small steps, these doable strategies will move the business forward into being more sustainable without the expense those businesses fear. Another solid misconception I see is the belief that they need to be some kind of sustainability expert to even start. And again, I completely when the first thing you see is a wall of jargon and complicated frameworks, like the ones we were talking about just now, then that feeling becomes very, very valid, all because of the way sustainability is shaped and communicated. The expertise SMEs think they are missing is already there in their business. They know it better than anyone. The only do not have is the jargon, is the language to translate it. The impact is already being actioned within the business. It is just not being recorded or measured. Small businesses think that sustainability means doing everything perfectly every single time, all the time. But I say, no, it does not. Progress matters far more than perfection. And what this means is that doing what's appropriate for your size, your context, and your business capacity. And I feel that small businesses are in the best position to implement sustainability and take that first step because they've got agility on their side. Implement and embed small actions and change when needed because they don't have those endless layers of approvals or those lengthy plans that big corporations have. They can decide on something today and have it running by next week. And I think that superpower, which is the agility advantage that small businesses have to move forward one step at a time ahead of the big corporation. So the actual truth is small businesses are already doing sustainability in some shape or form, but they are just not framing it that way.
I agree with you because as you are mentioning, when we see something corporate, we get scared. And we think I'm so small, I cannot do this. How can I compete with the large corporations? They are MNCs, they are. And so, why do you think they feel that way? Why? Is it something that is designed only for larger corporations, or is it something, it's an insecurity from the SMEs?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And if I'm honest, a big part of the issue is that most of this simply wasn't built for them. When people hear the word sustainability, they picture multinational supply chain, the huge global brands, their glossy international conferences, and naturally, the language, the frameworks, the structures, anything, everything really has been shaped around organizations that have entire sustainability teams, that have entire legal department consultants, and the whole lot. They don't picture that small firm with a team of, say, 100. And they definitely don't picture the even smaller businesses, the ones with just, say, they have maybe 12 employees. But unfortunately, the same handed to the big corporations gets handed to the small businesses too. The same jargon, same expectations, the same templates. And usually the guidance in these models is written in a way that feels like it belongs in a boardroom, not a guidance for a small business. They continuously mention terms like materiality assessment, scope 3 emissions, ESG governance. These aren't words that show up in the daily life of a small business. Of course, the business looks at all of that by it all before they've even begun. Another thing I would like to point out on this is that the frameworks that small businesses are presented with are built for organizations with large teams. So when SME frameworks such as GRI, the CPD, the CDP, the CSRD, and all the never-ending acronyms we hear all the time, they automatically assume that they are expected to follow a process, which is practically impossible. Small businesses do that. They do not operate like that. They operate in the everyday, the immediate, like you said, the human way of day-to-day operation. And because the narrative doesn't reflect that, then what happens is that SMEs start assuming that they are behind on things, when in reality, they are much further ahead than they think they are. What these models and reports, well, call it what you may, sometimes essentially do is they put the strong pressure on the small businesses, pressure to answer to sustainability requirements handed from the big guns, the large corporations. And so, really and truly, SMEs do not feel that sustainability is something that they are supported to do, but it is something that is done to them. They are pushed to adhere, and so it becomes more about compliance rather than empowerment. And I would like you to think of this as well for a minute. How many times have you read sustainability success stories that came from SMEs? Not much. I don't think so.
Oh, it's hardly 1% from 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So just look anywhere you want. Most, if not all, of the success stories we read about in articles and journals, online, anywhere, is always about the big brands and their sustainability journeys and how well you do not see the small businesses are making. And unfortunately, SMEs are never or very rarely see themselves represented. So, rightly so, they assume that they are not part of the story. So, what I'm trying to say here is that it is not that SMEs can't do sustainability, because they absolutely can, but it's because they are offered a framework, a structure that is built for the giants, and they are treated as invisible.
Yeah. So this question put me thought through like the topic of greenwashing, because how has the corporate greenwashing affected the confidence of us in a small scale businesses, because they are trying to engage with sustainability. And on the other end, we have the small scale business who also understand practical sustainability without realizing it. There are two contradictory statements. So if you can clear this out for us, and probably with some real life examples, and also how the corporate greenwashing is affecting the confidence. If you can clear the gap, we'll be more grateful.
Yeah, so I'll speak about the greenwashing first, because as you say, I think it's made a lot of small businesses hesitant to do anything. It's worth being very direct about the damage it's done, because it's real and it's ongoing, it's happening all the time. And when large corporations make sweeping and dramatic sustainability commitments and then very little actually happens or changes, well, it essentially poisons the well for everybody else. And small businesses watch this happen all the time. And what equally damaging is because it creates a fear in them. Small businesses become terrified of saying the thing. So what happens? They go quiet. And then all the good work they're actually doing, stay invisible. But staying invisible has its own damage. The damage that does, the silence causes damage too, because it ends up being a risk in itself. Silence in the past used to be a neutral position. So if you weren't saying anything about sustainability, nobody necessarily assumed you were doing something wrong. But unfortunately, or fortunately, that is no longer true. People have more information and more choices now than they ever did. So not communicating your efforts can read as you not having any. And here's what I find most ironic about this. Small businesses are actually better positioned to be genuinely authentic, because they are embedded in their community, they know their customers personally, and the decisions they take come from a place of embedded values. It's different to a corporate business. The small business has embedded values in it, which are stronger than a corporate business has. They don't need to issue any glossary reports. They don't need to be perfect, just like we said, but they need to tell the truth about what they're doing. And that kind of builds more trust than any polished statement ever will. And the other question where you asked me how businesses are already practicing sustainability without them realizing it. Yes, they are. But for small businesses specifically, sustainability works best when it's practical, manageable, and aligned with what they're already doing. When it fits into the rhythm of their business, and that is exactly the lens I always bring to it every single time. I want to start with this, and it probably is the single most important thing businesses need to hear. You see, one of the biggest barriers to starting a sustainability journey is the belief that you, as a small business, are starting from scratch, from zero. That there's this blank page in front of you, and you have to figure out where to begin. And that feeling exhausts you before you've even started to do anything. But hear this, you're not starting from zero. You're already doing it. You are already being sustainable in one way or another. So you reduce waste because waste costs you money. You look after your people because you know them personally and they're not just a number on a spreadsheet. You buy local because it's and it supports the community you're part of. You reuse your materials because it's practical and it's sensible, and you adapt quickly because, well, you have to. So these are all sustainability behaviors. These are, well, technically ESG behaviors. You see the jargon? Simple, the sustainability behavior, turn it into a jargon, ESG behavior. And it's not the action, because it's already there. It's the language, it's the structure, it's the confidence to say, yes, what I'm already doing fits this framework. So sustainability is not something that lives out there. It lives in there, inside your business. Right now, and you can act on it. If I have to give you some examples, we said that businesses try to reduce waste because waste costs money. So when a small looks at its inventory and tightens up the ordering of fewer materials, and the extra materials wouldn't have to go to waste. And they're not doing it because somebody told them to, but they're doing it because, well, waste is expensive and because it makes so much financial sense. In actual fact, though, that is still sustainability. That's resource efficient. And that is essentially an ESG in action. Then we mentioned how a business looks after its people. That is social sustainability, even if they might not label it that way. Teams in small businesses are usually very, very small. So the relationship becomes more personal, and employees are not just a number on a spreadsheet like we so regularly checks in with their employees. They're doing it because they genuinely care about the team member, and this builds a healthy culture. It reduces turnover and creates a workplace where people would want to stay. But you call it social sustainability or even sustainability, but it definitely is. And the same goes for buying local. So when a small business buy suppliers because they're reliable and part of the same community, that's sustainability too. Additionally, apart from contributing to obviously cutting transport emissions, strengthening the local economy, buying local also makes the business more resilient. And resilience is a massive part of sustainability. It essentially is the ability to absorb shocks, to stay flexible, and keep going when the world around or a supplier you currently use somewhere halfway around the world comes to a halt. It is the ability for you to keep operating and moving forward when everything else stops. Interestingly, I don't know if you've noticed, but none of these require a consultant or a big sustainability budget to implement, right? They are essentially everyday decisions made from a place of care, from a place of resourcefulness, and a genuine connection to the community. And that is the foundation of sustainability, not the framework built on top of it. So if I had to reframe it simply, you are not starting from zero. You are further along than you think you are. And once you can see that, you stop asking, how do I begin? And you start asking yourself, how do I build on what I already have? And that is a very, very much more powerful approach to having sustainability in the business.
I can clearly see now, evidently, that's the right word, because I believe from your statement, small scale businesses are practicing more sustainable practices than larger corporates. The transparency is there, the teamwork is there, all the SGC goals are getting meet, rather than corporate. In corporate, it's on papers. You have to do
Yeah.
some norms like a CSR is a practice, or else you will be like taxable, you will be questioned. Some paperwork to avoid paperwork, a lot of things are happening. But when it happens with the small scale business, it comes from the heart. It is the real
Exactly.
value of the sustainability, I believe. Yeah, and thank you for putting it in a very nice way so that everyone can understand without jargon. So hats off to you. And
Thank you. You're welcome.
when we are discussing about everything greenwashing, simple sustainability practices, there comes the question: what is the difference between performative sustainability and genuine sustainable practices?
Wow. Okay. So if I had to put it simply, I'd say this. So one is about looking good, and the other one is about actually doing good. So performance sustainability is the glossy stuff, like when you have the big announcements, the shiny pledges, the beautifully designed graphics on the social media that says we're going net zero by 2050. But when you look underneath, there's nothing there. And you spot this because it's usually very vague, very broad, and all it's designed to do is simply impress rather than change anything. Basically, it is a headline with nothing real behind it. But practical sustainability, on the other hand, is almost the complete opposite. It's the quiet, consistent work that actually shifts how a business operates. Like we were saying before, it's when businesses reduce waste because it saves money. It's when they look after their people because they genuinely want them to stay within the business. Those small grounded actions that genuinely make a difference. One is marketing, one is integrity. And I would like to highlight one other thing on this, if you don't mind, Dr. Salma. People can tell the difference between them now more than ever. Employees and suppliers are increasingly becoming good at spotting between what is loud and what is real. And in the long run, the real will always surface as the winner for me, basically.
Yeah. So, for the people who are listening and watching us, especially for a small business owner listening today and thinking, okay, I want to start, but I don't know where. What are the some simple sustainable actions they can begin immediately without huge budgets? I know we have talked about this in our previous episode. I would say, guys, please go and check. She has beautifully explained all the steps, the 6 key steps. Each and everything we all you have narrated an example regarding the furniture shop. I still have that in my mind. It has impacted so many listeners. I'm so sure about it. So, but today, if you want to narrate that in a nutshell, how would you put it?
So honestly, the simplest sustainability actions are far more accessible than people think. It starts with clarity. It starts with noticing what you're already doing, and then from there you walk through 5 really practical steps that I can assure you don't require big budgets nor specialist knowledge to get started. Step 1 is just mapping what you're already doing. Sit down with a cup of tea with your team and ask what reduces waste, what supports your people, what builds trust with the customers you currently have and maybe the new ones, what helps you as a business stay resilient. And after this exercise, every small business discovers that they're already doing far more than they realize they are, because now it's clear to them, it's on a page, they can actually see it. Step 2 is figuring out what actually matters to you, not what matters to the big corporations, what matters in your world. And you need to pick 3 to 5 issues that genuinely make a difference to your business. That is your versatility. Then you'd have step 3 is where the easy wins come in, where you can have low effort but high impact actions. And these are beautifully simple. Just listen. So look at your waste first. Packaging and printing are usually where the quick savings are. Switch to energy efficient lighting if you haven't done so already. It is a low cost, quick fix, and it has an immediate effect, an immediate impact on the environment and as well on your bills. 1 or 2 of your suppliers with fresh eyes and research possible swaps you could do with other local ones or your whole supply chain overnight. But you can start small and then move gradually. Another thing is check in with your team more often, but do it genuinely, because that is social sustainability and it costs almost nothing to do. And they feel valued, they feel wanted, they feel that they are in the right place, that they are working in the right environment that they want. And lastly, for this steps is start tracking just one thing: energy, waste, travel, water, anything. And I'm doing a full carbon audit because that will come later. But you just need a starting point, which you can build from. So, as you can probably gather, they are not exactly glamorous, are they? But once the even one small improvement may be either reflected in a lower bill or the employees are happier, then they would naturally want to do more. And this is where it creates the momentum. And you need to weave sustainability into the routines you already have. You don't need to create new. What you need to do is to implement it and weave it into the work you. So you can, as an example, add a 2-minute sustainability check-in in your team meetings, which you already hold, or add a quick waste review to your stock checks if you already hold these. Or if you already have a supplier relationship, just one sustainability question when you speak to them next. The goal is for sustainability to become part of the rhythm of the business and not extra task that just sits there on the side, forgotten when things get really, and they will get busy. And that's why you need to weave it into your business. And step 5 is communicating honestly. Like we said before, there's no need for glossary reports. There's no need for big claims. Just here's why it matters. Here's why it matters. Here's what we're learning, and here's what we're planning to do next. People respond to honesty far more than. And if anyone watching or listening would like to explore these 5 steps further, I do encourage you to visit our website and download the Sustainability Starter Roadmap and get started. Sustainability isn't a one-time project. It's a practice. And I can safely say that small businesses are already better at it than they give themselves credit for.
That's true. As everybody watching and listening, as Karen has beautifully explained, it takes a little bit of hard work. So we would like to put you to do the little bit of homework because we have already covered the episode in depth, in detail. So go to the link in the description and explore, visit the practical sustainability, as she mentioned. Every toolkit, every concept has been explored in a very simple way, no jargon. So feel free to check that out. So overall, if I had to wrap up today's session, I would say it just find out a problem, ask why it exists, find out the myth, find out what is the real, take example, find what is greenwashing, go for the authenticity, and implement the action. This is, I'm trying to put it in a nutshell. So to today's it's really interesting because exploring the gap was much essential because no one talks about it. So as we have come to the end of our session, we have a lovely rapid fire round. One sustainable buzzword you secretly dislike.
Complex.
One daily sustainable habit you never compromise on.
Oh gosh, one sustainability habit I know: food waste.
Wow. Okay. Biggest greenwashing red flag.
Loud claims.
One sustainability myth people need to stop believing.
Too small.
Okay. One thing SMEs are already doing it right.
It's already embedded in their business, but they don't know it.
Wow. Again, about one moment. So, a business trend you think will dominate in upcoming decade or in next 5 to 10 years?
Let's see. Gosh, there are quite a few.
Just you.
Oh, wow. AI, power of AI and sustainability.
Beautiful. And my final question, describe sustainability in 3 words.
Hey, good for the people, good for the environment, good for the world.
You just nailed it. Oh, bam, bam. Here you go.
Thank you.
As we wrap today's episode, Karen, thank you so much for this incredible honest and groundbreaking conversation. You keep the conversation light, no jargons, totally grassroots. So I think today's episode reminded us that sustainability isn't about perfection. It is not about polished branding or corporate buzzwords. It's about practical action, it's about awareness, it's about resilience and everyday decision. And perhaps most importantly, small businesses are not behind. They are simply left out of the language. And I'm, of course, a huge thank you to you, Karen, for joining us. I'm so grateful for covering this topic. You never fail to surprise us. You always give us that beautiful topics to discuss. Yeah, this is going to continue. I'm so sure about it. So people who wants to know more, follow us on the sustainability side, follow the practical sustainability in LinkedIn and other social media, including YouTube. So I would always say sustainability is not mine, it's ours. It's a shared responsibility. So we will catch up soon with the next episode with different topic to discuss on. Until then, stay curious, stay conscious, and we'll see you in the next episode only on the sustainability side.
Feel the joy, let's unite on the sustainability side. Making waves, shining light. From city streets to the open skies together.